Shake it up. Shaking up the garbage we feed on. Shaking up our wondrous being. Let's begin the reform. Even if just for a moment, to share the cloying and the suffocating skin. Let's shake it up right now. Let's shake it up right now. Let's shake it up right now. Shake it up.
Hello there, welcome to Being Human, shaking up our wondrous being. Let's begin the reform. I'm Ray Coates.
And I'm Tracy Wilson.
Tracy, lovely to see you and lovely to be with whoever joins us, whether it's live or in replay. And
Yeah.
I think it's probably one of the longest titles ever in history. Why use one word, Ray, when you can use, 20?
Yeah, sometimes a little bit more words just makes it a bit clearer what it's all about.
Ooh, thank you, I like that. So it is, I guess at the beginning, it is the being human. That's a fundamental part of what we're doing. Shaking up our wondrous being. We talked a little bit about shaking up off air a moment ago, and we'll come back to that in a moment. And let's begin the reform. The reform. So no political alliance I want to share on my behalf, and just reform as in the a fuller meaning of the word. And anything that came to you in terms of the title. So we've got the introduction. I was watching it a little bit more than I have done previously today. Was there anything you felt from the images that are there that
Just like everything that's going on round about, isn't it? The kind of busyness of life. Yeah.
Now we don't script. Yeah, exactly. We don't script this, but that's exactly what struck me, because I know the conversation we had off air. So last time, for anybody to check out previously, we were talking. You were sharing a lot about a deeper level of understanding through your own life experience, and also training, qualifications that you have, work that you're doing to support people, of connecting with self. And I want to also call out to others to say, being human, shaking up our wondrous being, let's begin the reform, is also available on Spotify as audio. So far 2 episodes, permanently in YouTube, permanently in Spotify. So people can listen at any time. And you shared a great valuable message on connecting with self. And this week we agreed the context of that with other people that are connecting with themselves. So I just wonder if you could perhaps begin with to shed some light on what you feel is coming to you now about how do we continue to connect with self in the midst of all this busy, lots of other people, lots of other energy. How do we do that? I'm going to have a sip of coffee as you spend the next at least 20 minutes.
Yeah. I think in life just now in particular, it's very hard. I know for a number of years, I mean, it was only the past couple of years I've started realising how focused I was on how other people were reacting round about me, other people's behaviours, their behaviours towards others, their behaviours towards me, like just their opinions in general. And looking back, I mean, and I was very, very focused on it. I would find myself getting worked up, like, oh, how can they think that? And that's wrong. Or, even if it was nothing to do with me, it was almost like I was hyper focused on it and getting myself worked up. And I find that a lot of us kind of do that, and a lot of us probably don't even realise that we do that. I know in particular when I'm working with people, it's one of the hardest things when they're looking to overcome something. If there's another connection that's causing them to feel that way, whether it be something happening in their life or a family member, a person at work, it's almost like if that person's done something, they're waiting for some sort of apology or validation, to something that just says that they're right. And often they don't get that validation, and they're just left, or we're all just left constantly fighting for it, like they were wrong or that situation was wrong, and we're waiting for some sort of answer or something that just kind of changes the situation that's never going to happen. And it's getting to that stage where you've kind of got to think, is it even worth me bothering about this? And that's when you start working with some coaches and whatnot, and they'll say, oh, well, you've just got to let it go, or you've just got to forgive, or things like that. And I sometimes think a lot of those words can be thrown around a little bit, like forgiveness and stuff. Because it's not always it's not always black and white, is that?
No, and it actually at times, and I think you'll get where I'm coming from. That type of talking can be very toxic, can't it?
Yeah,
So ironically, to demand that people heal, that they forgive, can actually be incredibly negative. It maybe even possibly the practitioner unknowingly maybe might not know it, but I think that type of way of communicating doesn't necessarily change anything, does it? And I think it can be very, at times, in its most extreme form, I'm expressing me now, inhumane.
Yeah.
To make the problem somebody else's. So, sometimes that's the challenge, isn't it? I think we're going quite deep now, but I feel, perhaps within family, forgiveness, it is at times, it can be a one-way street. So it can be demanded. So, you should do this, you should do that. And I think that's challenging. So I guess in a way what came to me a moment ago is an illustration of driving. And I remember years ago I used to work with a guy who, with all seriousness, but he had quite a dry sense of humour as well, he said, when we were driving to work early in the morning, he said, why does everybody have to be on the road at the same time as me?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes in life, we are, of course, interested in self, and we should be. Yet we do get that feeling of, at times, perhaps we're not being given enough opportunity to be interested in ourselves, and at times perhaps made to feel guilty about that.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm asking you probably then is, which I feel is already coming, how do we move around that? How do we navigate that? Because we are driving on roads with other people. We are living life with other people. And it's a great thing too. How do we maintain our progress whilst we're also honouring the fact that we are not driving in this journey on our own?
Yeah, like as you said, everybody's on their own journeys driving, and it does feel like we're all up against things at the same time, all of the time, and that's when it can become a bit messy. But when we're starting to try and come back into kind of, whether you want to call it healing or just being at peace with ourselves, managing our own emotions alongside all of that, and where like things like forgiveness come into play, it's kind of your perspective of what you want to make that word mean. And what I mean by that is, in the past, what I realized was, when I was holding on to particular narratives and like looking for validation and looking for people to go, yeah, you're right, that was wrong. Actually, even if they'd have given me that, yes, you're wrong, and that person had apologised, I would have probably still felt the same. It wouldn't have changed me emotionally, because although they were part of the problem, they weren't the root of the problem. They were triggering something within me. So I think what I'm saying is, it's about, if you want to really be able to move on and not carry around. We call it emotional charge. It's that emotional charge within you. So sometimes people will say like you might see somebody that you think's quite annoying, but they don't do anything. You know, they don't burn anything up inside of you when you feel that rage. But you can acknowledge and go, they are not a nice person. They're a bit annoying, and then you can kind of walk away and forget about it. But then you can get another type of person that you might not even know, but just their reaction or how they behave can really fire something up inside of you. And that's usually because, even though I'm not saying that they are in the right or that we're making that up, that they're not a bad person, they probably are. And they probably got their own issues that need to sort out, but they're not the main issue that's triggering us. And we need to make that connection of what we're letting go of. So it's not about saying, yeah, it's fine, I'll let you talk to me that way, or I'll let you behave that way. It's about saying, I don't approve of it, but I'm not going to let you upset me emotionally or make me feel this way inside.
That's really good. And I'm gonna stretch that driving illustration a bit further. I am, because I'm really, really taken on board, and I can't help but in some ways link that to driving, because ultimately, whatever anybody else does, as I perceive, it's up to me how I respond to that.
Yeah.
And I think another thing I'd say is, and I'm happy to share this is quite a few years ago, when I was going through cancer and several other things happening at the same time. I'm a very calm driver, and very calm person generally. On one particular day, and I had loads of other stuff going on in my life, marriage breakdown, various other things happening, and I actually went out looking for somebody to have a bit of road rage with. And I know, again, you'll know this, anyone listening, viewing, whether it's live or replay, you'll get this. I found someone, of course, because I was looking for them. And what was interesting was I was looking for that moment. So I guess, again, listening to what you said, whilst we don't take responsibility for somebody else's actions or inaction, we do have the power of responsibility as to what we choose to do with that. And of course, ultimately, that doesn't mean that we just forgive it in the sense as, we'll just let that go. It can be a number of different things. So I think I'm just thinking of what you're saying in reality, and driving's a powerful way of recognizing that. Essentially, we're all vehicles, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're all vehicles moving around in life. Go on, please, Tracy.
We can't always change other people, no matter how wrong they are. But sometimes we are in the wrong.
Yeah. Yep.
Like what you've just said there about going out looking for somebody, that can be an unconscious reaction, and there's a lot of people doing that in life that don't realise they're doing it. I was doing it myself for years, being like irritated and angry, and I'm not that type of person. Like in general, I think you know that, but at that time, everybody and everything irritated me, and I would go home at night. They wouldn't even be around me, and I'd still be going over it. And when I look back, they weren't the problem. The problem was that was a kind of, it's the word deflection. It was kind of deflecting me away from dealing with what was going on in that moment. I was going through a lot of grief. There was a lot of bigger issues that I should have been more concerned about and given my energy to. But it was a lot easier for me to be angry and irritated at everybody else around me. But I wouldn't, if you'd have told me that back then, I'd have probably bit your head off and told you were wrong. So like you don't see it in the moment. I'm glad I didn't.
I'm glad I didn't, and I wouldn't, and I don't think either of us would, and others too.
But you don't see it in the moment. Definitely not.
No, because again, we've got our stuff going on. So we've got our drive, we've got our progress, momentum, all of those things. I'm interested in framing a couple of questions. I've got a couple in mind, but I wonder if you've got any for our viewers, because we have got some viewers at the moment, which is great. I also wanted just to mention as well, by the way, episode 1, episode 2, this is now episode 3.
Yeah.
That's correct, isn't it? Yeah. Good. My numbers are correct. Episode 2, twice the viewers of episode 1. Double. So that's fantastic. But now I think that's a good time with that thought to ask those who are joining us, have you got any questions that are coming to you that you think would be good to ask our audience around navigating their own progress in life and the things that are important to them, whilst also navigating others, perhaps around the subject of forgiveness? Asking, have you got any questions in mind to ask our audience so people can make comments?
I think one of the things that I kind of look at myself now, and when I'm working with people, is when people have that, like I said, emotional charge where you're telling that story about that situation that happened, or you're telling that story about what that person done, and you're feeling that rev up inside of you. It's what's the benefit of holding on to that story? If you look at it in the moment, is that person ever going to change? Is that situation ever going to change? Can it be changed? Look at everything. And most of the time with these things, a lot of the time you'll say, no, it can't be changed. And if it can't be changed, what's the benefit of keeping going over the story and staying angry at it? Because it's literally an energy that's got nowhere to go. There's no resolve from it. You're staying angry at something and resentful, or whatever other negative emotion it might be, knowing that it can't be resolved. And typically you think, and I'm speaking personally, you think that you're doing that to hold that person or situation responsible. And that you've cut them, and some people will say, oh, I've cut them off physically, I have nothing to do with them, but they're still walking about telling the story, talking about it with anger and rage. So it's like, yeah, you've cut them off, but you've not cut it off emotionally. So technically you're still allowing them to have that hold over you. You're still giving them that hold. So what's the benefit of doing that? What's the benefit of allowing someone else to have that control over you emotionally when they're not even going to change, or they might not even be in your life anymore? What's holding on to it?
That's strong. That's really, really strong, that. And I think very incredibly helpful. I know as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking that's really, really helpful. I think the carrying is what's catching me. So like extra baggage, extra luggage, extra weight. You know, I'm gonna put all of this stuff in the car and I'm gonna carry it around with me for the rest of my life.
Even though I don't need it.
No, even though, it's not gonna serve me at all. So I think I've got a question then for our audience, and that people live, people replay, and I want to just qualify and clarify that too. We're not putting anybody on the spot. It's just anybody could be catching up here at any time at all. How do you appropriately release a weight of something that you've been affected by somebody else without that feeling like you're just forgetting, forgiving, letting go? So I'm asking other human beings, how do you manage to release that weight so you can continue to move forwards?
Yeah.
And if people are finding that a challenge, well, my advice is there's tons of support everywhere. We're going to put links in the description for the work that you're doing, Tracy. I know through what I'm doing musically, the music I create comes from true life experience, and it's written in a way where people can connect and share in being human. And it's generally uplifting in the sense of there is, out of destruction, there's construction, there's building from what we feel are irreversible situations in life. So I'm asking our audience and people that are catching up here, how do you as a human being navigate through life, your own vehicle, when you've got the other vehicles of the human beings around you who have influenced, affected your journey? How do you maintain and carry on your journey? All right, we've got George. I've got part of his comment in YouTube, and we'll catch up in that in YouTube. Although anger is there for, let me see if I can click on that. Maybe that might. I think that's a part comment. I'm going to put show. All right.
Anger is a release, isn't it? Anger is a release.
Yeah,
There's no resolve from it. What's the purpose of it? If you just staying angry and you know it can't be resolved, there's got to come a day where you go, actually, there's no purpose of this anger. There's no benefit to this anger because it's not changing anything.
And I also go back to what you shared. Was it 90 seconds for emotions generally?
Yeah. So if
the passing of an emotion.
Any emotion is held for 90 seconds. Any longer, we're holding it for whatever reason.
So
usually with people is people will, when we get triggered by others or situations or other people, it's not always, even though the situation might be bad, it's usually the emotion that you're feeling in that moment. So it might say somebody doesn't hold the door open for you. They accidentally shut it. They might have done it by accident.
I hate that.
Or they might be going through their own struggles and genuinely not be thinking in that moment. And it might have just been a one-off. But some people will be like, when actually that person might be going through a really tough time and might feel really bad that they never held the door open for you. And it's totally not in your character. And depending on your emotional state, you might stay angry at that all day. Actually, it's not about that person that never held the door open. So in that moment, that person might have made you feel not acknowledged, unheard, or unseen, disrespected. And those might be feelings that you've felt throughout your life. So your system is constantly finding, because that's kind of built up a belief inside of you, like a core belief. You might not think it consciously, but a feeling of like, nobody ever respects me, nobody's got time for me, and all of that. So every time you come up against a situation similar, your body is having that emotional charge and it's triggering it, and you're reacting to it when it's not actually about the situation. What you need to resolve isn't the fact that that person never held the door open. It's what else in life has made me feel not worthy, disrespected, and we need to feel respected within ourselves so that we're not as triggered by other people, because actually we don't need the respect from other people. It's nice, and it's good to give other people respect, but if we don't respect ourselves, we're never going to feel it. We're never going to feel other people's respect, because we'll constantly be looking for the people that are disrespecting us, because inside we feel that we're always disrespected. So we're like, when you said you went out looking for that person, that unconscious action, we're doing that every day of life. Whatever our core feeling is about being unheard, disrespected, we'll constantly find things that confirm that.
Opportunities, but not particularly, great ones, but opportunities, and of course they exist. George has got several comments, which is brilliant, and I know others will as well. I think around George's comments that I'm picking up, for me, if I share my thought towards anger, my experience of anger, which is I used to think it was bad. I was going to ask you a question, and the question I was going to ask you, it was a yes or no question: is anger bad? Well, of course it isn't. And that's kind of where George is coming from, that it's a human emotion. It's part of a deeper level primitive reaction of us as human beings. Now, so let's go back to driving again. I do a lot of courses on road rage. It's not like da-da-da-da. I went out in the car with Gethin Jones for the BBC. I had a piece on the BBC about road rage. And he was being devil's advocate of, road rage, and he was chucking everything at me. And basically I came to the conclusion and shared it with him. What difference does it matter to other people that we're getting angry about them? and we're
Very
maintaining
well.
that anger, and we're maintaining
Mm.
that anger. So that anger is now staying with us on into the journey. So
Yeah.
I know I'm using driving as an analogy, but of course, listening to what you've said, that applies to
We're
life.
all driving through life, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all, yeah, like if like anger is, it's an outlet, and if in that moment you need to express anger, yep, and then let it go. But if
Yeah.
you're still feeling that anger 10 minutes down the road and that other driver took a turn in the, 3 journeys back and you're never going to see them again, it's a
Absolutely.
little bit useless. It's the only person, that driver's happily singing away in his car, having a good day, and you're still angry. So actually, you feel like you're holding it against them when actually all you're doing is upsetting your internal
Mm.
emotional system. So it's
So
not serving a purpose. It's not serving
here's
any
another
purpose.
here's another question for you and others. How do we let go?
Yeah.
So it's not good for us, definitely.
Yeah.
I feel that. George, I know, feels that. Others who are going to catch up here will feel that. There's this knowing on a deeper level, human wise. Even people who've not kind of done any personal development. I don't think that's the case of many, actually, to be honest with you. But people who perhaps don't read up on human behaviour and various other things. I think we have this inner knowing that at times when we do things, if we're holding on to anger, we know it's not good for us.
Yeah.
So in a way, that I think leads to the next question: how do we let go? Because we know it's not
Yeah.
good for us. How do we let go?
No, because a lot of the things, like when I'm working with physical illness and everything, a lot of the things that are at the root of that are the resentment that people hold on to about things that maybe happened years ago, even though they'll say now, and if I say, when did you last see that person, or when, oh, I've not seen them in about 40 years, but they're still absolutely burning up about it, and you think, like, but it's such a struggle for them to still let go of it, even though it's causing their arthritis to be worse.
Yeah.
So people will say that they want to get rid of the pain, they want to get rid of the cancer, and they'll do anything for it. But it's unbelievable that when you actually get into a session with somebody, how hard it is for them, even if that resentment is what's at the root of maybe ill health, they still find it very hard to let go of. So in everyday life, and we're not just talking about the odd time that you might be having a bad day and end up pissed off at everybody.
You're the first one.
Yeah,
You're the first one. No problem.
One of those days. If that's only happening once in a blue moon, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We're human. But if
Yeah.
every day you're getting road rage, or you're getting angry at people not opening the doors for you, or just like lots of little minor things that can't be resolved, that's when you need a little bit more help getting to the root of why those things bother you on that level. Because actually those people don't have that much power over you. Those people are totally, in those situations, are totally insignificant. And it's leaving you feeling and acting quite a powerless way because there's no resolve of it. So you need to work out what actually the bigger reason is and stop giving your power to people that aren't actually responsible. Yeah, they might not be good people, but they're not responsible for how you're feeling.
I like what you said there as well, giving your power.
Yeah.
Because again, through my coaching, mentoring, driver training, that's the message I share. Because it is your enabling in that situation that I gave quite comfortably. I was looking to give my power to somebody else, basically.
Yeah. It's not deliberate. Like a lot of people might think, well, why would you do that? I would never do that. But in the moment, it's not deliberate. You don't realise that's what you're doing. And in that moment, it feels completely rational. But it's your irrational part of your mind looking for another outlet, isn't it? It's looking for that.
I think we're onto something now, and I feel this is we spoke off air about the shaking of humanity, life, the busyness, the hubbub, of life, the disturbance, and there's social media and there's everything 24/7. We're now living in an age where constantly there's stuff going on around us, and there always was, but it's on different levels now. And I think George's comment could lead into a discussion for next time. The essence of it is, as the case is, all of our feelings, to take a step back, give ourselves time to reason with the causes that brought the anger on us. And you're sharing that, Tracy, 100%. What I'm coming to now is, and this is actually, I've been sharing this for years, by the way, because I realise this in different walks of life that I've been in previously. One of the biggest challenges that we face is time, a perception of time as well, within the system. So within society, within the system, within 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, weekend, this inbuilt way, holiday, we're taking time out, all of these perceptions of time. That's the reality of the hamster wheel. That's what we're living on. Many people viewing are living on. So I think, if you agree, next time, ironically, is how do we make the time to manage those situations?
Yeah.
So in the midst of all of this other stuff going on, it's like in driving again, I used to use an illustration of, the merry-go-round in the park.
Yeah.
A roundabout is a bit like that. If it's still stopped, traffic lights, it's a lot easier. A roundabout generally is easier.
Yeah.
Because we're getting onto that roundabout, jumping on, if you like, and it's not moving.
Yeah.
Now if it's spinning around, which when children jump on a merry-go-round, you think, please don't jump on it while it's moving.
Yeah.
What I'm suggesting is coping with these things that happen to us that we feel others are not allowing us to connect with, or we're giving them the power to not allow us. How can we do that in a busy world? How can we do that in a busy world? How can we manage the constant revolving energy?
Yeah. It's definitely something you have to be in a place where you want to get to, that place of being able to not give your power away. I think it's a bit like people when they want, when you're saying that somebody should give up smoking, the person's got to want to.
Yeah.
And even though that person might know it's a healthier option and they might really want to, but they'll be giving themselves reasons why they're not going to bother. I think it's the same with everything in life, and like self-development and inner peace, whatever you want to call it. You need to want to be fine. You need to be wanting to feel that way. And there's often, if you've only ever felt this chaotic way where everything's been busy and you've only lived in a world, families, had people around you that's made you feel this way. It's like what we said last week about at that place of familiarity. Your body likes familiarity. So even though you might think, I wish my life wasn't so chaos, I wish everybody didn't make me feel so angry. But if that's all you've ever known and you've never been taught anything else, or you've never given yourself a chance to experience anything else, you will continue to seek it out throughout life because your body knows how to handle that. Your body knows how to stay angry. It knows it can survive in that place of anger and resentment. It might not be healthy, but that's all it knows. And you need to be in a place of, I want to change, and actually be doing things to kind of change that reality and change that narrative so that you can create a new familiar. Yeah.
I think totally, I can completely right, because the person's got to do the work. They've got to want to. They've got to not just want to, but be prepared to do what's necessary. So let's assume perhaps possibly there are a lot more people that are like that than we might consider. So the appearance of life, they feel that they have to, be busy. I'm interested next time, if you're okay with this, for you to talk a little bit more about ways that we can initiate kind of almost stopping the world.
Yeah.
How come? Because I actually feel that's really, really valuable to, some mind hacks, like mindset hacks, life hacks that you may be aware of that can say to those joining us, this is a good way of
Rerouting those.
pause,
Yeah, rerouting.
reset.
Yeah.
And then I think further to that, which there'll be in the description anyway, links to yourself, links to breath work, links to the other work that you're doing for individuals who then might be that person, those people who come in here and think, do you know what, I do want to make some change in my life. Things are not going in the direction I want them to.
Yeah.
So that they can then reach out to you, obviously, potentially, if you're right for each other, work with you. So I feel there will be those people. I do. And I feel, meantime, are there ways next time? So we've agreed Saturday the 16th of August, 2 p.m. We seem to be floating around the weekend.
I know. I don't think there's as much weekends as there would be, actually.
It's interesting, isn't it?
I don't work by weekends because obviously the way our lives, my husband's job is, our weekends fall at random times. So I don't particularly have the typical weekend, so I never know how often it comes round.
Because we've had so far Sunday, Saturday, Friday, and we're back next time, Saturday the 16th, 2 p.m. So join us here, YouTube channel, subscribe, follow Tracy. All of the links will be in the description, so you can find the purpose work. We've got Terry. Terry's a good friend, TikTok friend, joining. She's put in a few emojis, and I know I'm going TikTok live later for anybody who's joining us, 6:30, with some real positive intention songs, and we want people to come on this journey with us of being human. It's as simple as that. Shaking up our wondrous being. You talk a lot about the work you do when people find you, and the previous episodes. You talk about this emotional shaking up.
Yeah, and like I said, it's not about. I think when I first started doing this work, a lot of people thought I was like making people just have positive affirmations, waving a magic wand over them, and like thinking that everything should just be fine. And actually, there can be a little bit of sweat and tears in the things, but in a positive way, because what I help people do is get the power back themselves and show them that those people that have done you wrong, you don't deserve to keep hold of their energies. You can let that go and let them take back the power from it. Let them have the choice. And it doesn't always mean saying that, okay, I'm going to magic that away and it never ever happened, but making them feel stronger to go, what happened? It was rubbish, but I'm not carrying it with me anymore.
You've sworn once already. You've sworn once already. We had a little bit of an offline gamble who was going to be the first one. So I'll substitute that word for you just so we can get a bit of parity balance. Shit. When life is shit, basically.
That's my mind, but I thought I'm not coming.
I know. You've used up your quota, But this is real. This is being human. This is real. Terry has put, "Hi Tracy, heard a lot of great things about you from Ray."
Yeah.
And that's genuinely how I think life should... Go on, Tracy.
Yeah, it's about helping people just regain that power themselves.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's all right sometimes saying, "Oh yeah, I don't think anymore about that situation. I don't think anymore about that person." But a lot of the time I've found when I'm working with people, or even just people in life, they might not have anything to do with them physically, but they're still very much holding it and carrying it around. So like they might have physically told them where to go, but they've not energetically told them where to go and really let go of it. So that's kind of how I look at it. You've got to be able to cut it off internally, not just stop seeing the person or avoid the situation. You need to be able to let go of it completely so that it doesn't upset your energy and your emotional state.
So again, correctly, it's about the person.
Yeah.
So the toxic nature of forgiveness is you should forgive this person. Well, of course, that's a choice, but what you're discussing, and on a personal level, I feel the same way, is the power of deciding to not let things affect our life. So it's not saying that the person, well, that it's irrelevant what they've done at all.
Them. They don't care.
No.
You can be walking about angry every day in life about what they've done, but they're probably living their life quite happily, and it's you that's getting worn down by it. And why give anybody else that power over your health and your emotional state? It just doesn't. And I'm speaking from experience. I've done it for many years, and it's through like belief coding and breath work that kind of brought me out of that period. But it's not a nice place to be, and it makes you very unwell. It does. It's what brings on a lot of illness, and it's what keeps people quite ill, I find. Not being able to do it.
There will be ongoing. There's previous episodes for people to catch up on. There's going to be many, many future episodes, and I think next time will be some practical tips of just, taking a moment. I think sometimes the buzzwords are used, but we'll talk more about that last time, the practice, the pause. I think as much as we can in 30 to 45 minutes, perhaps a little bit deeper into what we can practically do in this revolving experience. Loads of stuff going on around us. How can we manage ourselves within that? And this is where we want comments too, because other people will, in their own experience, be able to share, of course, their own experience. And that's the idea of being human together.
Yeah.
Tracy,
totally.
Thank you so much. There will soon be a Spotify audio version of this, the third episode of Being Human, Shaking Up Our Wondrous Being. Let's begin the reform, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Yeah, thank you. Looking forward to it.
Cheers, Tracy. And everybody.